What's up guys, Wesley here with another video. Today I just want to talk about Panasonic's brand new announcement, and that is the GH6. That's right guys, today, May 25th, 2021, Panasonic announced that they are indeed, by the end of this year, coming out with the Panasonic GH6. Now, earlier this month when they unveiled the GH5 II, we did hear that eventually they would come out with this camera. We just weren't sure when they were gonna come out with the camera. So it's pretty exciting to know that now we have a concrete time frame, and that is by December 31st, 2021. And that seems like a long time, but it's only 6 months. That's kind of weird that we're halfway done with 2021 and we still haven't got over the 2020 hangover. So what is the GH6 going to be capable of? This is an answer that as of today, we have some pretty cool facts, and I'm actually pretty excited about the frame rates and about the codexes and kind of the price range of this camera. So the first thing we know about this camera is that it's an updated sensor and a brand new sensor at that, which is pretty freaking cool considering that all of the Sony nerds and Canon nerds and everyone else in this world kind of like to pick on Micro Four Thirds and say that we're a thing of the past. So with the GH6 having this new, improved, brand new sensor, I'm actually pretty excited to see what it's capable of in the sense of low light and in the sense of frame rates and things like that. The second thing that we know about this camera is that it's gonna shoot 5.7K at 60 frames per second. That's a huge update to the GH5, which can only do 4K UHD at 60 frames per second. Now you get the 400 megabytes of recording speed and things like that, but 5.7K, that's essentially 6K at 60p. That's even better than the S1 if I'm not mistaken. The second thing we know about this camera is that it's gonna shoot 4K at 120 frames per second. That puts this camera on par, if not above, when we get to the price point of the Canon R5 and R6 and the Sony A7S III, and like I even mentioned, probably the Panasonic S1. With 4K 120p, that pretty much obsoletes things like the Blackmagic 4K, which can only shoot 1080p at 120, and it crops in. If the GH6 can shoot 4K 120, I will be an instant buyer. This is incredible, especially like I said, when we get to that price point that Panasonic says they're going to try to keep around. The third thing, and this is the final thing as far as frame rates, is that we're going to get cinematic 4K or 4K UHD, whatever you want to call it, at 60 frames a second with no record time. Now this is pretty intriguing considering that I don't think that Panasonic is going to say there's no record time if there's things like overheating, fan clicks like we saw in the Blackmagic 4K. If they can pull off no recording limit in 4K 60. This is huge. With no overheating, with no issues, with no battery issues, and if they keep that longevity and that oh so good battery life that the GH5 and the Panasonic Lumix G9 even had, this will be amazing. And like I said, and I've kept hinting around, that price point. Panasonic has said they're going to try to keep this camera around $2,500. Which in my opinion is a steal. Look at cameras like that A7S III. Look at cameras like the Canon R6. These cameras, the A7S III is $3,500. The Canon R5 and R6 are $3,500 and $4,000. This is huge. If we can get 5.7K at 60, 4K at 120, cinematic 4K at 60 with no recording limit for under $3,000, name another camera that can do that. Go ahead. There are none. Now that's really all we know about this camera, and that's really all Panasonic has let us know. There are some things that I'm kind of hopeful for that the GH6 will give us, things like Blackmagic RAW. I'll even settle for ProRes RAW. I'd just rather have Blackmagic RAW. It would be nice if we could get a dual ISO native like found in the Blackmagic cameras. I think that'll really help bump up that low light performance. And that's really, that and the autofocus are really the only knocks that we get on the GH5. The battery life's amazing, the image quality, the frame rates, the codexes are amazing. We just don't have that good, punchy, and crisp autofocus, and we don't have that dual native ISO. And of course, I would like to see them improve their autofocus. Now, I know it's a smaller sensor, and it's not a Super 35, it's not a full frame, it is a Micro Four Thirds, but with the technologies coming out, and if they can pack in 5.7K at 60 frames a second on this camera, I'm really hoping to see the autofocus kind of bump up and kind of look like Sony's and kind of look like Canon's, or at least close the gap between these companies. The final thing that I hope comes from the GH6 is that the GH5 costs is lowered. And I know it's not a very expensive camera. You can buy the things brand new for anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500. But it would be nice if I could just pick up another GH5 for a little bit lower now that this GH6 is indeed coming out in 2021. So guys, thanks for tuning in. I know it's a short video today, but hey, hopefully by the end of this year, we will have the GH6 in our hands. Until then, live a blessed life and continue to create. Thank you.